Hello there, you're listening to the Box Office Show. I'm Ryan Hill.
And I'm Dylan Johnson. Today we're going to talk about the box office numbers from last weekend and our box office predictions for this upcoming weekend.
We'll also be doing a grab bag for movies in August, as well as some discussions of films from earlier in the summer, and then some sneak peeks of releases coming in September. Start with some news. We're going to revisit our ongoing topic on Star Wars and where films are in the development cycle, because so many of them get announced and then never come to fruition. But it seems like finally another film has broken the curse. Star Wars Starfighter begins production. So Ryan Gosling and his collaboration with Sean Levy, seems like they're going to do it in 2027. They're going to have a Star Wars film starring, again, Ryan Gosling, Mia Goth, Matt Smith, Amy Adams, Aaron Pierre. All these folks are now officially in the cast, so it's happening.
It is Sean Levy. Wasn't this supposed to be Patty Jenkins?
No, that was Rogue Squadron, which was from forever ago. But this was a whole different development thing. I really don't know any of the details. I don't know that we've gotten any of it, but
they sound
obviously it'll be about a
very
fighter
similar.
pilot. They do. So
Rogue Squadron also, I think, would be about fighter pilots, would it not?
It indeed would. So it seems like I wish we already
didn't want to let a woman direct a story about a soldier.
The Patty Jenkins movie is never coming out. But
yeah, no. Neither is the Taika Waititi trilogy or the David Benioff, D.B. Weiss trilogy.
Or the Rian Johnson trilogy.
Tragic.
Yeah, all sorts of things.
So many trilogies given out and canceled. Yeah. I think stacked cast, fan of all of these people, except I don't think I've seen Aaron Pierre in much. But
you should watch him in Rebel Ridge. He's great.
Oh, you did say that. I didn't mean to watch that. But everybody on this cast sounds fantastic. I like it when big blockbuster franchise films cast unknowns. And these are all like A-list celebrities, like the top of the pack right now, which fair if you're trying to make money on a franchise that is kind of petering out like Star Wars, surprisingly, in a time where franchise films in general are not doing as good as they did 5 years ago. You want to attach some A-list talent to it, of course. But I really like when they let unknowns break out into giant roles that in huge blockbusters. That's what the original Star Wars movie did. That's what the remakes did. The sequel trilogy was a bunch of unknowns who came out and had big, huge career starters because of it.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of that.
Gotcha.
So I'll go see it. Why not?
I mean, come on, it's Star Wars. They're
going
to be there. Come on. Opening weekend.
It's a Star Wars movie. We haven't seen a Star Wars movie in theaters in a long time, and we're going to see, The Mandalorian in theaters. What, next year or the year after? Next year,
2026.
Yeah. So we haven't seen anything since 2019. It's about time we saw a Star Wars movie in theaters. I've been waiting 7 years.
Yep. So that'll be exciting. We won't have to wait too long for a Superman sequel, though. It has just been confirmed by James Gunn recently that the sequel, titled Man of Tomorrow, is going to be coming out in 2027 in the summer. So, Dylan, the Batman Part 2 is currently slated, I think, for November or October 2027.
Correct.
What are we doing here? Two Superman films before the Batman Part 2.
When does Brave and the Bold come out, supposedly?
There should never be a Brave and the Bold.
I know.
Just merge the universes. At this point, it's like, come on. And now they have a great opportunity, bro. Imagine. Again, I'm so done, disconnected with most the superhero stuff. But as you know, I'm a big DC fan.
Yeah.
Imagine the post-credit scene of Superman David Cornsweet arriving in Gotham, putting on the bat signal or whatever he's doing, and then we see Batman silhouette from behind. We see the cape. We see the bat ears. He turns around and it's Pattinson. Come on, bro. That would be the greatest post-credits.
That'd be really cool. But also, I just don't care about an interconnected universe as much anymore. I think I'm still seated for certain superhero movies. You know, I'm still game to go and watch individual superhero films and have a good time. But I think Marvel being around and doing it so great for 10 straight years, you know, and nailing it with Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame, I think I got my fill of the potential of a connected superhero universe. And even though we never got that with DC, and I'm a bigger DC fan than Marvel, as you are, I think I'm not as interested in seeing it play out. I would rather see the same budget that would go towards these superhero movies being put elsewhere into other kinds of movies, you know. And so I don't mind. I'm kind of rooting for superhero movies to kind of peter out, and then maybe they'll get a return in 20 years, you know, like they usually do. They used to be, you know, superhero movies were big for 5 years, and then they peter out, and then 20 years later they get reboots. They've been around for 20 years now. Big superhero movies since, you know, 2008 have been going on. And then before that, the Spider-Man movies and the X-Men movies, you know, those Fox properties were doing very well. But, you know, Marvel came out in 2008, The Dark Knight came out in 2008. And so we've had almost 20 years of these big, huge blockbuster superhero franchises. And I am fatigued by it, as you are, as many people are. I would be down to just focus on some smaller filmmaking and focus on characters again, like we should. And maybe in 20 years, they could try another interconnected universe for DC. You know, I don't know how well David Cornsweet, Superman, and Pattinson go together. You know,
They go together great because of the contrast. That's what we want.
sure.
That's what we want. So I'd be down for it if they did it. Again, it would totally work out. There's no reason why it couldn't happen. So I hope they pull the trigger on that. It cleans things up so there's not two Batman films, going on at the same time. That'd be very silly, I think. And then it would give them, more audience buy-in because people already know and like Pattinson,
Yeah,
and
of course.
people are hyped up for Batman Part Two. And then so if we know now that there actually is going to be a connected universe between those two, I think that would give them really solid jumping off point for
I
the
would
rest
I
of the
would I would
universe.
agree with you in the sense that two live action Batman is stupid. It doesn't make any sense. And you know,
Yep.
we had that for a bit there with Pattinson and Ben Affleck at the same time, where it didn't matter and nobody cared about it. And then they threw in George Clooney at the end of The Flash for no reason. So I don't know. It seemed exhaustive, uh, and they also had Michael Keaton in that movie as well. So they were just throwing Batman everywhere. And
Yep.
so I don't know. It seems like a lot. And yeah, I forgot there were three Batmen in that movie. Too much. Too many Batmen. There should only be one Batman, no Batman. Batman sounds like a last name, you know, John Batman. You know,
hmm
I Batman's my favorite superhero. He's your favorite superhero too, right?
Uh,
He's a Spider
I go
Man.
back and forth between him and Spider Man.
Yeah,
But again, like I've said, there's in my one of my story journals back there, I have an ungodly amount of pages dedicated to a Batman series, not movies. I'm like, he's got no movies, and a lot of them are very good.
yeah. It's about
So I
time
have
for a
that.
TV show, right?
And then, as you know, in my Spider Man, when we did our Spider Man specials, I had that idea hatched, 10 plus years ago about Spider Man live action, adapting basically
I
Shattered
remember.
Dimensions and
Yep,
whatnot. So I have dedicated, some, I guess, fan plot
fanfic.
lines,
Yeah,
fanfic stuff.
you've done some
But
fanfic work.
yeah, I don't know. Spider Man, I love him, but Batman is just so good too. So they're like neck and neck. Yeah.
Yeah, Batman's my favorite. I grew up on the Michael Keaton Batman movies and Batman the Animated Series, the Batman Arkham games, the fucking
God, they're so
pretty much
good.
everything except the
Incredible.
comics because I was never a comic book kind of guy. But I big fan of like all of the Batman extended universe products outside of the comic books. You know, he's always been my favorite superhero, hands down. I love those movies. I even enjoy, you know, the shittier Batman movies. I still like Batman and Robin and Batman Forever, even though they aren't that great. I think there's a lot of fun to be had there, even though they're not
Holy
very good.
rusted metal Batman.
Yeah, and I mean, I was a big fan of Adam West Batman and those that whole universe. I've seen many of those episodes. I met Adam West in person at a MegaCon one time and got a picture. I have a picture of me standing next to Adam West, you know,
hmm
with the Batmobile and Burt Ward, the original Robin. You know, Batman is by far and large my favorite superhero. And even though I'm tired of these superhero films, I like the idea of getting a Batman movie every couple of years, the new interpretation of the character. And I like the idea because he has such a more than any other superhero, he has my favorite rogues gallery. I mean, his villains are only like absolutely superb and only matched in quality by Spider-Man's rogues gallery, which I think makes them both the most interesting superheroes
Hmm.
in both you know, their demeanor in the situation that they're in and their origin story as well as their rogues gallery. I just love the Batman rogues gallery. I mean, the Lego Batman games where you get to play as all those characters is so much
There's just
fun.
a new one coming out, yeah. A new Lego Batman
I don't
game.
play the Lego games anymore. I bought the Lego Star Wars Definitive Edition many years ago and I played it. And you know what? They are making those games too easy. They are designing
Really?
it for children, which is what they're supposed to be
Is
for,
that
of
the
course.
point? Yeah.
But when I was a kid and I was playing, Lego Star Wars the original trilogy or Lego Star Wars the complete saga or Lego Batman 2, they were difficult games relatively, They were if you died, you lost coins that were used to buy extras. It was difficult to find the mini kits. You had to unlock a certain character that had a certain ability to get to the mini kit.
Hmm.
And when you play some of these new Lego games, it's impossible to fail the mission. There's no starting over. You beat it one way or another, which I think that defeats the purpose of a video game. This is a huge I'm digressing greatly right now, but I probably won't be playing any more Lego games, even though I grew up on Lego games. I absolutely love Lego Batman 2. I love all of the Lego Star Wars games. Lego Star Wars: The Clone Wars game. Uh, but no, they've gotten worse certainly, and
Wow.
that's unfortunate.
Interesting.
I think they started to go downhill when they started using real voices instead of just a kind of like grunting noises. That was
Yeah.
always the most fun, seeing how they interpret scenes that are dialogue heavy with just like mime sort of conversation. I always thought was very fun. So when they started incorporating like voices, I kind of started to care a little less. But
Very true. Mason and I are still working through the complete saga, or not the complete saga, whatever they call it now, the Ultimate Skywalker saga
the
thing.
Skywalker Saga, yeah,
Yeah. So
that's
we're
the
still
game
working
I'm
through that.
talking about.
So
It's
I'll
too
let you
easy.
know how we're doing on it.
That's the game that I bought. It's too easy, is it not,
We haven't played in like 2 years, so we'll
dude?
get back to you on that.
It is ridiculously easy. I played the pot. So in the original Star Wars Skywalker Saga, I
You're
mean
actually
the
right. That's the
original,
one because I was thinking, I was like, that game really wasn't all that difficult. Again, I played it through so many times, so that
yeah,
also is why I would do the Mustafar level all the time because I thought
yes,
it was like one of
it's
the best
awesome.
video game designs ever. So I would continually do that, and I would like die midway through just so I could like replay it.
Yeah,
So that's how good it was. But you're right. You're about to bring up the pod racing. That actually is the one uh,
dude, it was
level that
ridiculous.
was challenging.
In the
That
original
was great.
trilogy, in the very first Lego game, which was Lego Star Wars, the prequel trilogy, you I had that on the PlayStation 2, and if you do the pod racing level, it is notoriously difficult, for a child at least.
Hmm.
You would lose if you lose the race. If Sebulba beats you, and Sebulba is the guy to beat, of course. If he beats you, you have to start over and play it again until you do win. And at the same time, you're trying to shoot down things, avoid Tusken Raiders shooting at you. You have to
Hmm.
break things open to earn coins so that you can buy things in the main menu, and you have to find mini kits and earn the mini kits. So you're doing like a bunch all at the same time, and then you'll lose and you have to start over again. If you play the pod racing in the Skywalker saga, it is impossible for you to lose. You always win every time.
Really?
Yeah, because I was playing it and I was like, this
I'm gonna
is
test
not a
that out.
challenge. I'm in first almost the entire time, and I'm getting all the mini kits, and I'm breaking things, and I'm not dying. Like in the original, you can get shot enough by the Tusken Raiders, your ship will just explode, and you have to respawn, and you'll be back, kind of like
Yeah.
Mario Kart. You'll just die, and
Hmm.
you have to be brought back to the beginning. And they don't want to challenge people. I guess it's just boring, which sucks. I will say though, the hub in Skywalker Saga is kind of fun. It's a very you can like travel between planets, which is fun. And
Yeah.
I've always liked a good hub. And I think Lego Batman 2 is the best hub because it's all of Gotham. And that shit was sick to play. And it was so awesome. That and the Lego Marvel was really fun too because it was all of New York. That was a lot
Hmm.
of fun. But
Yeah. Look.
digressing, Batman is my favorite. And you're right, two Batman at the same time is frustrating and annoying. And so I just don't even know who they would cast for Brave and the Bold. And Robert Pattinson is a fantastic Batman. And everybody loves his Batman universe. Me personally, I don't really care enough about an extended universe. I'm just looking forward to a Batman Part 2. I want to see Matt Reeves' Gotham continue. I still haven't finished The Penguin, but I
And
should.
as I said, which is crazy, we'll talk next week about
Yes.
that. Um,
I will finish it this week so that when we do talk about Penguin next week with all the other TV shows of the year, I will be up to date.
but what I think they should do, take a page out of my book from when we did our DC EU showdown.
Yeah.
Just have Pattinson. This is the early part of his career, right? It was like year two. Just have these be prequels in the new DC universe thing, so you can still have Matt Reeves finish his trilogy, and they can still be pretty grounded. But then it just leads into whatever Pattinson is doing with however many Robins he has in the DCU that they want to have, and then you have your Batman Brave and the Bold. Just do that afterwards, so you still get Matt Reeves' vision when he's like early part of the career, more grounded, and then you can still weave him into the more fantastical comic book world that James Gunn has created for the DCU. Like it can be done, it can happen. We'll see whether or not they pull the trigger on that, but that's what I'm hoping for. Because yeah, it'll be silly if we just have in the same year a Superman movie and a Batman movie, but it's like, oh yeah, the Batman Part Two is meant to be a continuation of this thing that came out 5 years ago when DCU was still around. Like it's just
Yeah.
crazy. So, in
We'll see.
other news, we'll talk about speaking of video games, another live action adaptation. Call of Duty is getting adapted.
It's
It
about
is
damn time.
coming from Paramount. However, Spielberg apparently is a big Call of Duty guy, and he wanted to make a Call of Duty film, and even had like a pitch deck or something prepared, and gave the idea to Activision, whoever it was that was trying to sell the rights, get the movie made, and they turned him down because he wanted too much say, like he wanted too much of the creative control, which is insane. You had Spielberg was going to make a Call of Duty movie,
It would have been great.
the guy from Saving Private Ryan,
Yeah.
and also the greatest filmmaker
Well,
possibly of
they're
all
probably
time.
doing like a more modern version of Call of Duty, like the Black Ops, kind of branch. I bet they're not going to do World War II Call of Duty, like classic Call of Duty. I remember my
Mm,
dad playing those games when I was a kid. He had like his own GameCube in his room, and he would play Call of Duty, the big red one,
mm.
on the screen. And I tried to play it as an adult, and I was like, I don't know, maybe that's something you have to. It's one of those games that you probably have to play when you're a kid to have the nostalgia factor built into wanting to replay it as an adult. Like I enjoy playing Kirby Air Ride as an adult, and I enjoy playing like the Legend of Zelda games as an adult. But I can imagine if you were introduced to them as a grown up nowadays, compared to games like Red Dead 2 and like the Uncharted games or something, or even like the current Call of Duty where the graphics are better and the response time and the controls is better. It might be a little
Mhm.
frustrating to play an older game, but I was trying to play Call of Duty, the big red one, and I don't know, I didn't find it as enjoyable. But it did remind me of there was a Civil War game, and I think it was just called Civil War. And you play for sometimes the Union and sometimes the Confederacy, and you're just reenacting famous battles in the Civil War from a first-person shooter perspective.
Mhm.
And it's kind of a shitty game. Like it's
Dang.
literally there's no compared to games nowadays. There's no online component. It's just like you are advancing through missions, and you have a. It reminds me of Call of Duty: The Big Red One. You should have like a select part of what if you play the Call of Duty Big Red One campaign. It's a lot like the Civil War game. You just have guns and you're just going through and you're accomplishing things and shooting enemy soldiers, and then you're done. And that game was fun. I had more fun with that game than Call of Duty: The Big Red One. I'm not gonna lie.
Dang.
But I was also a kid when I played that. So maybe if I was a kid when I played Call of Duty: The Big Red One, I would have found enjoyment in it.
Well, we'll see. What it is a good question of what are they going to adapt, because yeah, they've gone through so many eras. Yeah, the Black
Yeah.
Ops stuff now, which I don't even know. They had a Cold War one recently, but most of Black Ops, like, is that even tied to like current day events? They don't
No,
even
it's
do
supposed to be like
like campaigns
futuristic kind
anymore.
of.
It's just like Call of Duty. What the battle royale thing they have now is like
That's
their
what
main
people
thing,
enjoy the most about it.
and
Which
COD Zombie.
I'm more of a campaign kind of. They always have campaigns though. I think all of the games have campaigns, but nobody likes the campaigns. I've always been a campaign kind of guy.
They've had a few good campaigns. I mean, some of them were
Yeah, yeah,
well
absolutely.
known. I think that what was it, the first Black
The
Ops one or one of the
the
Modern
older
Warfare's?
games had notoriously like fantastic writing in the campaigns, but I think as the games have progressed, they noticed that people prefer the online content more and just battle royale type online first person shooter with your friends, and so they've kind of sidelined the campaign storytelling in favor of online gameplay.
Yeah,
Online gameplay, if you ask me, I think it was a big detriment to video game storytelling. I think the focus on just creating an enjoyable online experience to have with your friends, even though that has value of its own merit, was a detriment to video game storytelling. Because I remember video games as a kid having the best stories. The Professor Layton games had great stories. The Legend of Zelda games, they still do have good stories. I will say they've stuck to committed
Well, and the
storytelling with
difference there
Breath
is
of the
they
Wild.
take what 6, 7, 8 years in between
Yeah,
Zelda
and they don't
games.
have online elements. There's no
Call of
online
Duty is
elements
one
to
year,
Legend of Zelda. That's
so
Uncharted has great storytelling, and they did have online elements, but nobody gave a shit about them because they weren't very good, which is fine to me
The
because I
Last of
like
Us had an online element.
it. Did
Um,
it was bad
but that's just the
again.
different approach of games. Like it makes sense. 'Cause, again, Battlefield, and again, I've never played those games. I don't know if they have campaigns, but things like Call of Duty, Battlefield, I mean, they lend themselves more to you know team games. Same with the Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront games. They had like a couple little campaign missions, but it was mainly about you know getting all together and doing a big multiplayer
Yeah,
gun battle. And then they have different Star Wars games that are more tailored towards an actual campaign, no multiplayer elements like Fallen Order and whatnot. So it's just different types of games.
I just think couch co-op has always been more fun to me than online game. The only fun I've ever had online was Grand Theft Auto 5 online with some friends for like a couple of summers in a row. It was a
Mm.
big deal. And that was enjoyable because you could just do whatever the fuck you want and do a bunch of crazy things. And then we would use money glitches to spam the game so we could get like an infinite money and like sell. It would be like you have a garage that's empty with one very expensive car in it that you had to buy. And then if you like if you had a friend drive their car up to the garage, and then as they pulled into the garage, you left the car at the same time or something like that, it would glitch, and the expensive car that you put into the garage would glitch, and there would be two of them now instead of one, and you would just do that 8 times until you have 9 expensive cars, and you would go and sell them in a row, and then you would make like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it would take forever, and that was a lot of fun. Was trying to get as much money as we could so that we could buy a bunch of random shit and have fun, and then playing like the online mini games. That was fun.
It
I
reminds me of
personally,
the Club Penguin money hacks
there
that
is
I would
yeah,
do.
it's some of
There was
those
some Club
yeah,
Penguin crazy. I forget what exactly it was, but it worked. It gave me a crazy amount. But I do remember I tried to look up some videos on that and got jump scared. It was like my first ever jump scare. Actually, maybe we should go back. Let's do some psychoanalysis. Maybe that's why I hated getting scared because I
yeah.
looked up a video about like doing these steps and I watched the whole thing. There's like 10, 12 steps. It's like a 12-minute video. And then at the very end, it's just this jump scare. This demon face pops up and it
That's awesome.
scared me. I ran out of the room. I was on the computer. I ran out of the room. I told my mom to like go look and get it off the computer.
Yeah.
I was a wreck after that.
Isn't that
Crazy.
funny how,
Good
how
times.
those things end up being like the thing that you're scared of? Like I'm scared of if I watch a scary movie, the things that scare me are like real things like serial killers and stuff. If I
Hmm.
watch like Black Christmas, that does scare me a little bit. And I remember being a kid and I watched like episodes of NCIS or something. I like walked into my mom's room when she was watching it and I looked over and they have like the cheesy 2000s effects where the character gets killed or whatever, or like Criminal Minds or something. And you watch it as an adult and it's just like stupid and you're having fun watching this like murder mystery show and like the character gets killed. I remember one where like an elderly woman gets hit by a car but she's old and so she's not a stunt worker, so she just
Rip.
kind of goes oh, and then the car kind of like pretends to hit her. And I remember being terrified as a kid. I was like, oh my god, people are the worst, are the things to be scared of. People will kill you. And so now like slashers are the things that scare me the most, and serial killer stuff are the
Mm,
things that scare me the most.
compelling. I was afraid that Degrassi episode where Drake gets shot.
No
That did freak
fucking
me out
way.
as a kid because my brother was watching that and that episode happened. And this was, before way I even knew who
That's
Drake was,
awesome.
whatever.
I remember being a
Um,
kid and I bought season 8 of Monk to give to my cousin as a birthday gift because he really liked Monk the show.
mhm.
And I like had it. It wasn't in any packaging, and I was like, "Oh, his birthday's in a couple of weeks, and I like murder mysteries. I'm gonna watch like a little bit to see what the show's like." Because my mom said I would probably like it, so I put in the first like DVD, and the first episode is Brad Garrett is the killer, and there's a part in the beginning where an elderly woman gets pushed down a stairs by like a nurse as part
Dude,
of a plot to empty the house so that they can, look for buried money in the house or something. And then Brad Garrett kills the nurse at some point. And I was scared of Brad Garrett for a long time growing up because he's this big, he's like 6'7" and he has a deep voice and he just like murders a woman in the episode. And I went and I rewatched Monk as an adult, and I got to that episode, and it was the only episode of Monk I had ever seen as a kid, and it's a comedy. Like it's Tony Shalhoub, and he has OCD, and it's a comedy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny. It's just a funny episode of television. Tony Shalhoub is great, and I don't know why I was ever so scared of it.
Dang. What's he up to now?
Tony Shalhoub?
Yeah.
He was in Marvel. I'm rewatching Marvel's Mrs. Maisel right now too, and he's in that, and he's fantastic. But that ended in 2023, and then they did a Monk revival recently too, but I haven't seen it.
Really?
Yeah, they brought Monk back for I think a season or two. But
It's
I
crazy.
love Tony Shalhoub.
The revivals, because we've had movies, we'll have continuations, sequels,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Psych has done like 4 movies, like TV movies.
TV shows having like revivals and continuations,
Will and
whatnot.
Grace.
Crazy over the past like decade. Will and Grace is one of the big ones. Um, that was a funny
Curb
show.
Your Enthusiasm was technically a reboot. They did 4 more seasons, you know.
They sure did. Yeah, there was that big gap, and then they started taking increasingly like longer gaps than a year.
Yeah.
But he
I
always
just
kept
watched
coming
the
back.
episode where Al Brooks is a COVID hoarder.
That show is just
It's genius.
so
It is the
funny.
funniest show on
It
television.
was ridiculous.
Larry David is fantastic.
Yeah. He's got a new show coming soon.
Really?
He does.
That is very exciting.
It's not done yet. So
Yeah.
I'll have to be on the lookout for that.
Yep. And the last bit of news, after our digressions are now complete, we have some trailer talk. Ryan, have you seen the 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple trailer? Just released, even though the 28 Years Later movie came out only a couple months ago?
I did, in fact, see it. This one was one because the 28 Years Later trailer was such a banger. So I was I gotta watch this one.
Yeah.
Not quite as banger as the 20 Years Later trailer, but
Fair.
I'm still intrigued. Dude, they are going for it with all those wigs. That
I
whole
fucking love it. Yeah.
gang just has blonde wigs. They put the poor kid, Spike, I think was his name, now has the wig.
Yeah.
And then we're getting more of Ray Fiennes and his whole deal as the doctor. So I am intrigued. We'll see how it goes, but I will be there. It's in January, so it's coming out very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I infamously did not very much like 28 Years Later. You can go back and listen to our 28 Years Later podcast to check it out. But I thought that movie was kind of boring, which is disappointing because that trailer was fantastic. And I watched this trailer, and the hype is back. This shit looks awesome. I should have figured that the first trailer was kind of giveaway that it'd be boring. There just wasn't a lot of action in it. It was just a really well-made trailer with like a lot of good inserts, like audio inserts and editing, very, very skillfully made. But there wasn't much actual zombie action in it. This one's got the fucking action, dude. It's gonna be sick. I just want to watch zombies do crazy shit, and I think they're gonna lean into it in this one. Also, Ray Fiennes was my favorite part of 20 Years Later, and so to see him have like a main character role in this one, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool. So
I'm looking forward to the Bone Temple. I think it'll be great.
And we need to round out the trilogy. We need Cillian Murphy to come back. So
well, he's supposed to come back at the end of the Bone Temple.
So hopefully enough people go and see it for that little tease, and then we get the third movie.
Absolutely. And the other trailer talk, Emerald Fennell's Wuthering Heights. You did not see this trailer?
I did not. I saw, I guess, some snippets here and there, a finger entering a fish's mouth or something. So,
a lot of things entering a lot of things.
Discussions are being had. Photos are being shared around and whatnot. So it's got people talking. But
very, very, very horny. Which it's Emerald Fennell. That's to be expected. Music by Charlie XCX. So it's to be expected. I think it looks good. There's a lot of discourse about it looking bad because I will admit I've read Wuthering Heights, the book, and yes, 100% it does not match. It is vastly, vastly different in tone, which I think it's fine. I think if you go to adapt something, I think the purpose should be to try and do a new take on it because Wuthering Heights has been adapted before many times. Go watch one of those if you want to watch something faithful. I think at this point, because it's been adapted so much, if you want to change something about it, as long as you're hitting the tone and the idea that is expressed in the original novel, I say go for it. Go crazy. People do that in the theater all the time. In high school, our high school did Julius Caesar, but they adapted it to be the JFK assassination, which is crazy. But they did that. And they did, at some point, they did Space Macbeth, I think, it's fine to take artistic liberties to do something new and fresh, and so I think it's fine. But there's a
Yep.
theory that I saw online where somebody was analyzing the trailer, and they said that it could just be a stupid, it could be nitpicky mistake, but they were saying that there's different periods of dress in like the costuming, like by like hundreds of years,
Mm.
where some of the characters are wearing costumes that are authentic to the time period in which the novel takes place, and some are wearing costumes accurate to like 100 years later. And so there's a theory that perhaps the movie, because the title is in quotes Wuthering Heights, that it's going to be about Margot Robbie's character reading the novel Wuthering Heights like 100 years after it was published and fantasizing about Heathcliff and like self-inserting herself into the novel. Which,
Mm.
if that is true, that's a very cool way to adapt Wuthering Heights.
I'd be
I think
intrigued
it's.
by that. Yeah.
I would be very intrigued by that. I think that'd be really cool. If not, I'm still interested in a off the cuff different interpretation of Wuthering Heights. I like Emerald Fennel. I very much enjoyed Promising Young Woman, and I had a lot of fun with what is it called, Saltburn.
Saltburn.
Even though there were a couple plot holes and a couple issues there, I still had fun with it. It's definitely a wild ride. I'm down to check out Wuthering Heights. I like Margot Robbie. I like Jacob Elordi. There's no reason why it would be a bad movie, and her movies are always shot really well. So it's exciting to see what she does.
Yeah, we'll
You should check out
definitely
the
have
trailer,
an
Brian.
episode on it, I'm sure.
Also, music by Charlie XCX. Sounds awesome. Come on, let's be
I
honest
don't,
here.
I don't think I
Sounds
can name a
awesome.
Charlie XCX song.
What?
I can name the title of her album, Brat,
You
but
did not have a Brat Summer last year, did you?
no, and neither did America. Kamala did not win. So, moving on to the box office breakdown for.
That was a fall misstep. Okay, we had a Brat Summer. Okay,
Okay.
the summer was Brat. The fall was MAGA.
Box office breakdown for August 29th to the 31st. Weapons retain or reclaims the number one spot, 10.4 million. So it had no K-pop Demon Hunters to worry about, and so it came out on top.
Followed closely by the 50th anniversary of Jaws with 8.2 million, a movie that is 50 years old, claiming the second spot of a very slow September weekend.
The
August weekend. Fuck me.
Caught Stealing, 7.8 million.
Freakier Friday, 6.7 million.
The Rose
The Roses.
is 6.2 million.
The Fantastic Four First Steps, 5 million.
The Bad Guys 2, 4.7 million.
Superman, 2.5 million, bringing its domestic total to $350 million.
Ladies and
Well,
gentlemen, I must let you know it was written as 350. Okay, you can't blame that one on me.
yeah, that one was my fault. I shortchanged it a little bit. I was trying to make it seem like less of a success than it
How
was.
dare you?
I looked at it, I glanced at it, and it's 2.5 million for the weekend. So there's a 2.5 next to each other, and then underneath it is the 350 million, which is the 3.5, and I combined the numbers on accident. 350 million domestically, but 2.5 million over the weekend.
It happens. It happens. Nobody 2 with 1.8 million.
And the Naked Gun rounding out the top 10 with 1.8 million, bringing its domestic total to $50 million.
Now for our box office predictions for this upcoming weekend, September 5th to the 7th. The Conjuring Last Rites is coming out. Now, the previous Conjuring entries in the mainline franchise, the original in 2013, 41 million. The Conjuring 2, 40 million. And then The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, which came out in 2021, had 24 million. Dylan, based on this information, what do you think Conjuring Last Rites will have for its opening weekend?
Based on this information alone, I would have put it in the mid 20s, similar to The Devil Made Me Do It. But I've been spoiled as to what it does make over this upcoming weekend. We're recording this a little bit later in the weekend, and we'll talk about it next week. That's all I'm going to say. But I would have predicted somewhere in the mid 20s.
Yeah. I would have done, only because of long-term tracking and whatnot,
Yeah.
I would have put it at 40 million, something like that.
Sure.
This is insane.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll talk about it next week.
It'll
No
be
spoilers.
crazy reporting. But
Yeah.
let's go into the grab bag now for August, which two things to bring up here. Again, first, this is going to be mainly movies. We will do in our next episode a discussion of TV all throughout 2025 And we'll also include our Emmy predictions because the Emmys are next week. And there have already been announcements of, some people that have won and whatnot. So we'll cover that stuff as well.
Some technicals.
But yeah, so all the TV stuff we'll cover next week. That'll be exciting. This one, we're mainly doing the movies that were in August or just on the outside of August. But this also marks the completion of the calendar grab bag. So we have now done a grab bag for every single month in a year.
Let's fucking
with
go.
August. So it only took 3 years, 4 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Since we started doing the grab bags, but now every month has their own grab bag.
Yeah. Recently we've been bringing back some older episode themes. We haven't done a first free finale in like 2 years, and we also haven't done a cinema showdown in like 2 years, and now we brought both of those back this month. Indeed. Which is nice. I like that.
Always nice to have some throwbacks.
Yeah.
Well, all right. For this grab bag, we'll kick it off with a film we have both seen, and it's a continuation of our Spike Lee director analysis, Highest to Lowest. So, Dylan, initial impressions on this bad boy?
I thought it was fun. I had a very good time. I enjoyed Denzel's performance. Obviously, if you listen to one of the two Akira Kurosawa direct analyses we did, we talk about High and Low at some point, and I do mention that is by far my favorite Akira Kurosawa film. It's one of my favorite films of all time. It's in my top 50 list that I have somewhere on Letterboxd, and I absolutely love it. I love the messaging that they have. So I was very excited for this interpretation because it's Spike Lee, who's one of my favorite filmmakers. He's a longtime fan of Akira Kurosawa very publicly, and Akira Kurosawa is also one of my other favorite filmmakers. So to see one filmmaker that I love so much adapting another filmmaker that I love so much was very exciting, especially because it was my favorite film of his. So I was looking forward to it. Denzel Washington is in it, so it's going to be great. Playing the role that Toshiro Mifune played in the original, who is one of my favorite classic actors from the, classic film era before the 80s. And I was looking forward to it. Ultimately, I was a little let down in terms of the translation of the theme from the original film. I think the original film is very poignant. I was very passionate explaining it in our Akira Kurosawa podcast, which you can go back and listen to. I even convinced Ryan to, I think, raise his rating by half a letter.
Stop mentioning this. Every time we talk about High and Low or ratings or whatever,
it is the only time I've ever convinced you to raise your rating or lower it by that. It's the only time I've ever convinced you to change your rating just based on my argument alone. And you've done it to me multiple times where we've been in a conversation and I've changed my mind in the middle of the conversation because you've convinced me that something is better or worse than I thought. And that is the only time to date that I've ever changed your mind, because you were a very stubborn person when it comes to your opinion. It is hard to change your mind about something after you've seen something and like formed an opinion about it. But it was the most passionate I think I've been on this podcast, was talking about High and Low, because you rated it like 4.5, and I wanted you to give it a 5, and I was really upset.
Which again, it's not like it was a low score. I was just
no, you really
wasn't yet there at the 5-star.
But I was upset that it was 4.5, and I was like, this deserves a 5, and I know it, and I know you believe it. There's something holding you back there because you're not like, I don't know. Maybe I think you just needed to see it one more time, and I didn't want to wait for you to see it another time. I wanted to make the argument now.
Yeah,
and I was very passionate about it. And so going into this, I had a lot of thoughts in my mind about the theme and the message and how Kurosawa, explains it. And I was excited and open-minded about how Spike Lee would translate that and explain it. And ultimately, I think I was a little let down. I thought the film itself was fun and enjoyable, and there were parts of it that I thought were done excellently. Just like I feel the way about every Spike Lee movie. There's always at least one or two parts in it that I think are flawless. Even if overall I find the film a little lackluster, he still wows me at certain times, of course, because he's a fantastic filmmaker. I think the theme got a little bit muddied up. I think it became too focused on making Denzel's character so, larger than life, because all of his characters are larger than life, of course. I mean, it's Denzel Washington. He's one of the best actors of all time. But I think it became too focused on his character that it kind of lost the theme in that second half a little bit. And I think the setup just took a little too long to get to the point. I think I was waiting too long for the plot to really start, and it was doing a lot of setup with the characters, which is typically fine. But I really enjoy that the Kurosawa interpretation of this story, which it's based on a novel, like an English novel, from the 30s or so, 30s or 40s. I think the 40s actually, and it was adapted for a Japanese audience, and now has been readapted for an American audience in modern day times. And I think it loses the message a little bit. It picks me back up right at the end, which I really enjoyed. It like
Hmm.
kind of seals the deal at the end. I don't want to spoil too much about it, but for the most part, I think it does not sell the point as well as the Kurosawa film does. But there are portions of it that I think are done very well. Your
Gotcha.
thoughts?
I was very mixed on it. I
Yeah,
thought the
I agree.
first half, particularly, was like shockingly bad,
It's
which
tough.
is
Yeah,
crazy because, as we talk about in the High and Low episode, the first half of High and Low is like perfection. It
it
is some of the
is.
finest filmmaking and like performances and
It is the best
ever,
staging.
ever.
It is the best staging you will ever see on screen. It is the
Oh, without
best
a doubt, yeah.
staging of characters and staging of camera. If you ever want to watch a movie where they frame characters perfectly for a solid 45 minutes straight, watch the beginning of High and Low. It is flawless. It is phenomenal. It is like Spielberg on crack. It is perfect.
Yeah. So knowing that is like the very high bar for this film did not clear in that beginning because in at a certain point it was just Denzel going to each of these different people to basically pick their brain, figure out what they're thinking on the situation, and
Yeah.
it should be so ripe for drama, so
Hmm.
compelling, all the conversations, the dilemma that he's facing. Again, it's like a very rich, the core story that is there.
Yeah.
It's just so amazing. Like it's very
Trying to
compelling.
negotiate some tough business deals should be inherently like dramatic and exciting.
Yes. And it was not like
It wasn't.
of all the conversations, I think the one he has with his son was the best.
Sure.
But outside of that, it was just like rough. I was like kind of
I
just
think
waiting
there's
for it to move
some
on and like
rough
get to the next part.
yeah, there's some rough acting in it as well around Denzel, which is it's I mean, we've said multiple times, we've said it on the Spike Lee episode that, even in a bad movie, Denzel Washington can save it to a certain
Yes.
degree because he's so fantastic. He's still great in this movie, but the performances around him are quite literally a little lackluster.
And we'll say who's innocent. Jeffrey Wright,
Also
incredible.
fantastic.
Fantastic. Again, he has
Yeah.
now reached the echelon of like put him in any movie. Like he
Yeah.
will not drag it down. He can only add to it and make
He's
it
so
perfect.
good.
So Jeffrey Wright, completely innocent there. ASAP Rocky, very good in that one scene where it's Denzel and him doing
Yeah.
that sort of like rap out thing. I
That
was
was
like,
enjoyable. Yeah.
I'm liking this. I'm believing this.
Yeah.
There's some later parts where it's like, okay, the whole
Sure.
stuff in the metro subway stuff was not quite there. But as far as like that particular like going toe to toe with Denzel, I mean, that's the moment he really needed to step up. That was the best scene of the film.
Oh, it's
Like that's
great.
where I was like,
Yeah.
oh, like this is it. This is what we needed. So yeah, there are some great shining moments without a doubt.
Yeah.
But as far as performances across the board, a lot of weak
Mhm.
links.
Yeah.
And
I
again,
think
just
the
lack
money
of energy
exchange
in
in
that
this
first half.
one, yeah, I think the money exchange, I really liked it up until the point the motorcycles start getting involved, and then
Mm,
I think it loses it for me because all of a sudden this becomes like a very big orchestrated event, and I will spoil a little bit here. I don't know why they exchange money so many times with the motorcycles, other than just like like masturbatory gratification of like cinema, just to like do it because it looks cool.
yeah.
There's just no story reason why there needs to be six different motorcyclists exchanging the bag. You do it once, and if a cop's not looking at you, you got away with it. They're not gonna. Also, if you're gonna exchange bags and you're trying to confuse the cops, why are you all dressed the same, riding the same motorcycle? If they're looking for a guy in a black motorcycle outfit on a black motorcycle with a black backpack, and you
Yeah.
trade it to another guy who's dressed the exact same as you, they're just gonna pull over that guy instead of you because he has the backpack now because you look the same.
Hmm.
And then at the end of the scene, they still catch a guy. Isn't that kind of the end? You think that guy won't snitch on ASAP Rocky?
Well, yeah, they catch the guy and he has other stuff in his bag and whatnot. But yeah, he's
Yeah.
definitely still part of the thing. But I
Yeah.
guess they're just like,
I
maybe he won't snitch.
guess technically they can't arrest him. They should have elaborated that he can't be arrested because he has, a bunch of tampons, I think, in his backpack.
Yeah. And he's got a case against the Mr. Mayhem there from Allstate with
Yeah.
the way he like tackled him down and everything. So yeah, I thought the logic didn't bother me too much on that. Again, it was one where I'm like, okay, the energy has picked up here. We're
The
getting
energy was
some
great.
good
Yeah.
stuff, but I still think ultimately it like rang kind of hollow because I don't know. I just don't think the editing of it was all that great. Like we're doing this cross cutting back and forth between like the festival with the Puerto Rican artists and whatnot,
Yeah.
and then the stuff in the subway and the people in the on the motorcycles chasing around. It's like we're seeing action on screen. Like a lot of stuff is happening on screen. Very little of it was actually interesting, and very little
Mhm.
of it actually tied together well. Like
Yeah.
every time we're just cutting back to the like Puerto Rican festival, they had already left by that point. Like very early in the chase, they are no longer around that area. We're just going back there because they had all this footage, and it's the I guess the diegetic sound, the music, and the scene is coming
There's
from
a,
that,
there's a lot of energy in that.
but there's like no
Yeah.
actual real like cinematic reason to return back to that other than we just need to like have
Pick up the pace.
superficial action happening on screen.
Yeah.
And so that part felt a little disappointing. um but then
It
yeah,
could have been a whole thing of people swapping the bags between each other in the middle of the carnival, as opposed to on motorcycles,
yes, that would have been cool. That would have
which
been
would
a
have been
nice way
exciting.
to
Yeah.
wrap it all together.
Also, I think the ineptitude of the police in this film was something that was bothering me because in the original, in the High and Low Akira Kurosawa film, the whole second half of the movie is the police being very adept at their job and swift and actually delivering results. Because the whole argument was that uh, they are very passionate that this gentleman has sacrificed his entire business and livelihood to save a child that's not his own, and the people and the police together feel passionate about finding the the ransom money to kind of restore him and make him somewhat whole again.
hmm
And I think the argument can be made that perhaps the American police do not cannot be thought of as fondly as the Japanese police of the '60s. So maybe I think the argument can be made there that that is the reason why the police are depicted as inept and sort of sidelined. But even at that point, I think the argument that I made in the original High and Low discussion, where uh, morality and financial security are not linked together, and that uh, the main character, who in this one his name is David King, yes, as
yes.
Denzel. In this version, our main character, David King, is an individual who has a lot of financial security, but he has morality, and he makes the moral decision to give the money up to save this child's life, even though this child isn't his own son, his own flesh and blood. He's willing to like cost himself his entire financial freedom in order to do so. I think the original does a better job of making the stakes a lot more clear up front that if he gives up this money, he loses everything. And I think it
hmm
also makes it more clear that this is a deliberate choice he makes, because when Toshiro Mifune is on that train, he doesn't hesitate for a second to take the money and just dump it out the window. But in this one, the train jolts to a stop and David King just drops the money, And he's still heralded as like a local folk hero by the people for giving up, his wealth to save a child. He just
yeah.
he drops the money, He doesn't give it up willingly. I think he would anyway, but they don't bother showing it. And then the rival character, who in this version ASAP Rocky, is supposed to be the character who is looking up at David King this whole time. That's why it's high and low, highest to lowest, and he's supposed to be this character who does not have a lot of financial security, but he also has no morality. He's willing to kill, he's willing to steal, he's willing to kidnap. In this one, he doesn't actually kill anybody, and I think he's at the end kind of heralded also as a bit of a folk hero by the people because he's willing to steal from the rich, which,
hmm
I mean, you know me, I'm always in favor of a folk hero willing to steal from the rich. And I think that's why in the original film they make him a killer as well, because a killer is something that, morally speaking, I think is much more dubious than stealing from wealthy individuals. I think most people would agree with me. And
I
they
don't know
aren't
about
willing to.
that in these times anymore, but
Well,
um
I think people who would agree with me are the better people.
that's good. Again, I agree
Yeah,
with that too. But I'm saying, yeah, just seeing the reactions of a certain high profile killing from earlier this year, I don't
yeah,
think that's the case. So I think it's
fair.
interesting. I think some of the reimaginings that Spike Lee does to make it modern times, the social media effect here, where David King
Yeah, I
is
think
like,
that's smart.
we, if we don't do this, we're going to get lambasted and we're going to lose, like, everyone's going to lose faith in us. They're not going to want to work
Yeah.
with us. And we're going to be screwed if we don't
The
do this.
optics, yeah, the optics of the situation makes more of a play in this version because people are more visible in this time and day, which I think is a great, development and adaptation to make it a more modern story.
Yeah.
But I think they lose the focus of money versus morality, and I think David King becomes too obsessed with like being successful. He's too focused on like getting his money back and really trying to like save his family, even though he made the moral choice of giving up money to save a child. He's too invested in like his future to be a true moral figure for the story. Like he
Yeah.
doesn't at a certain point he doesn't care about his record label anymore. He's willing to go through with the bad deal in order to get money back so he doesn't have to lose his penthouse and stuff. He's like, let's get it back. I just need money. Like I'm out of money now. I lost millions of dollars. I need money now.
Yeah.
And then he's willing to go and like hunt down ASAP Rocky now that he knows who it is in order to get his money back, which is badass for Denzel, but for the story's sake, the point of the original is that the Toshiro Mifune character loses everything, and he's put in a position where he is a lowly figure now. He cuts his own grass. He's probably going to have to give up his high rise, and he's going to have to start over maybe. And the end of the movie is, even though he doesn't have money anymore because he gets some of the money back, but he's lost out on his entire company. Uh, he's going to start over from scratch with the money that he has, and he's going to be all right, even though he's not as rich as he could have been with the business deal he was going to make originally. And they kind of do the same thing at the end of this movie, which is fine. Spoilers. But I feel like he just doesn't lose as much, I feel like David King doesn't really lose all that much. He gets almost all of the money back entirely. And he willingly gives up his company as opposed to being forced out of it.
Yeah.
He willingly wants to give it up in favor of like starting a small independent music label to focus more on the music. And I don't really understand where in the story he learns that lesson to want to start an individual label, and want to focus more on the artists as opposed to making money.
There's one conversation he has with his wife where she's like, you used to walk around the city, like come back from the studio, walk along the bridge, and you'd be listening to all the new artists. You don't do that anymore. So it's like, oh, he's lost touch with uh, the musicians and just listening to the music. And then we see him halfway through the movie. He does that. He's walking along the bridge and he hears the song from A$AP Rocky, which, by the way, I thought was very silly because we just hear the song playing.
Yeah.
But the reactions Denzel is happening.
You tell me the kid remembers the lyrics and the cops can't just Google it and find the song? If I Google lyrics, even if it's a small song, it pops up. So if
it's
it's
the same lyrics over and over and over again, which is what's funny.
I guess I think the argument that could be made is I don't think it's a song that's like released on Spotify. I think it's a song that was sent to David King that only he would have.
Maybe. I think it was on Spotify.
Unreleased.
I think he like literally had the app on Spotify. So
I thought it was a song that was like sent to him by his company, because I know A$AP Rocky's character sends his company the song to try and get listed, and he just doesn't make it, and that's why he's mad. And so I think the argument could be made there, but I don't know. I haven't seen the movie in a couple of weeks. Still, either way.
My gripe is just that Denzel's reactions to like the song that's playing, and you would think in the chorus when the words that the kid said he had heard over and over again is being played is when he would make the revelation, but it wasn't. It was like not timed up with that at all. It was like midway through the random verse, and he's like, oh my, this is the one. And I'm like, okay, we could have done a little better there on that. I will say, again, as a continuation of something we brought up on the Spike Lee episode, Spike Lee's corny. He's actually very corny.
He is corny.
But a lot of stuff can be cool. I thought Denzel shadowboxing in the car to Payback, like James Brown's Payback. I'm like, this, number one, is very corny. Yeah. Very on the nose. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So I was down with that. And that portion, again, was the most compelling to me. That like sequence from when they arrive at the studio. He has this whole little rap battle with A$AP Rocky. I thought that was compelling. That was also a thing where he was listening to A$AP Rocky in the studio, and he was like, you're good. Like, you actually have the talent. Mm-hmm. You could do well. So why are you doing all this nonsense, basically? So I think those are the things that are pointing to why he would try and start his own smaller individual record label. But again, it didn't hit as much. I didn't care that. I wasn't that invested in it. Also, I will say, I don't know who that lady is at the end that's singing the song Highest to Lowest.
Yeah.
But she gets a full music video basically at the end of this thing. You kind of have to be like a top tier talent for us to just stop the film for 4 minutes and let you go and then have Denzel reacting like he's listening to the best thing he's ever heard. Again, I'm not saying you need to be like Mariah Carey or Celine Dion
Mhm.
or even to have, Billie Eilish, like just a very noticeable, distinct sound. But I could not, if you played her with whoever won The Voice last season or whoever's on American Idol this season, I cannot tell a difference.
Do you think it was
So
a problem with her vocal talent or with the song specifically that it didn't stand out as a song enough?
I think both.
Okay. So what you're saying
I
is
would give her more
they
credit than the song. Yeah, the song did not stand out to me in the
yeah.
slightest.
What you're saying is that they wasted Ice Spice's cameo. She should have been at the end singing that song.
Again, I don't know that Ice Spice would have been any better there, but hey, good for her popping up
Yeah,
in
I don't know
there.
why she's in it.
I don't know either. Again, when
Contributes
she
nothing.
popped up there, I thought, okay, and we're gonna come back around and it'll be something else. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
she was just there for that one moment to meet
Yep.
Denzel. I don't know. Someone pulled strings. Someone wanted Ice Spice in there. Who knows?
Yeah. Also, I'm upset that in the original, like the plan to steal the money is very well thought out, and it's very difficult to track down. They spend an hour or so using very advanced techniques for the '60s in order to be able to track down. They like devote all of their resources to find this guy, and it takes everything they have to find this kidnapper. And it is very similar in this movie that like the method in which they are able to kidnap the kid and take the money and get away with it is very advanced, but then finding ASAP Rocky is terribly easy. Like he hears one song and he goes, I know who this is, and like he looks up where he lives and he could just find it.
Yeah.
It is like incredibly easy to find ASAP Rocky in this. It's amazing that the cops didn't find ASAP Rocky in this, but hey, it's a movie, I guess.
Hmm. Hmm.
Overall, I thought it was all right. You know, I think it just kind of loses the theme a little bit.
Gotcha. Well, all right. How many? What should we call it? Records out of 5 for highest to
Yeah,
lowest.
sure. I give it two
You
and a
give
half.
it. I'm also giving it 2.5.
All right. I think we're on the same page there. I was gonna give it a 3, but I think thinking back on it, I was just bored for a lot of it, which is unfortunate. And it is, to me, the greatest sin you can commit in making a movie is making your audience bored.
Yeah. Again, I think a lot of it was just not very well put together with some moments of just incredible, like absolute shining examples of filmmaking.
Yeah.
So
Also, forgot to say,
very split.
much like my comments about He Got Game, there were just some bad music cues in this movie where its
Yes.
characters just like him talking to his son in his bedroom, and there's like a jazz song playing, like overplaying their audio, so it's hard to hear what they're saying. But it's like soft, melancholy jazz, like they're having a thoughtful father son conversation, but really they're having like an argument about respect and like appreciation of fatherhood, and like legacy. Like they're having a very intense adult conversation, but it's like soft, melancholy jazz, and I just don't understand how it fits in.
Yeah. So all right, there's highest to lowest. Go give it a watch. I think it's
Yeah, I
now
think it's
on
worth
like
a shot.
Apple
Yeah,
TV Plus. Definitely give it a watch. Again, I think the approach to like how do we update the story for America modern day
yeah.
um, is very compelling. So for that alone, I think you should give it a watch. Denzel, of
I
course.
think the fact that it's a Spike Lee, Denzel Washington team up is enough to merit a watch. Like
Yeah,
they're two of the greatest artists in this field today and of the last 40 or so years, and I think it's worth watching anything that they do.
indeed. All right. We'll start going through the rest of our stuff here. A lot of things that only one of us have seen. Freakier Friday. I went ahead and caught this past weekend. You haven't had a chance to see it yet.
This is true.
I will say go watch it. It is a very fun film. I enjoyed myself. Again, the setup here this time, which I didn't see any of the trailers because I knew I'd just watch it, so I didn't really get an understanding of what the setup would be. Obviously, the same thing happens. There's a body swap, but this time times two
Hey,
because it's Lindsay Lohan's daughter in the film and soon to be stepdaughter now also are in play in the body swap. And so you get to see the pairing basically of like the two older people, grandma and mom, now in the bodies of two teenagers that are supposed to be stepsisters. And then, of course, the two teenagers are now in a grandma's body and a mom's body. And so, for the most part, they're paired up together. And the antics they get up to, the body swap antics, it's just fun. Like, it is really well done. So, seeing Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan just act out and go bonkers. Very fun. And then seeing them as well of like trying to dress uh, like teenagers today, like Gen Zers, is hilarious. So for that alone, go and watch it. As far as the the emotional through line that they try and have, same with the original Freaky Friday. It's tied to a marriage is about to happen, and the kids are not fond of it. They don't want it to happen. They don't want the change. Um, so they sort of replay a lot of those beats this time around. Again, it's another factor because one of the potential new stepsisters wants to be in England. She's like British. So the options are they either stay in California or they pack it up and go to England. So there's that dilemma. I wasn't all that compelled by it. I think there's some good moments in here, especially the like mother daughter moments. But for the most part, I don't know that it really stuck. But a lot of the antics are fun. Manny Jacinto is his name.
Yeah.
He's in this.
Is he?
He's great.
I love him.
He's fantastic.
Did you ever watch The Good Place?
Yeah, I've seen episodes, not all of it, but my mom
I just
watched it
watched the
as it was
whole
coming out.
thing like a couple months ago because I never watched the last season, and I watched it, and also like I think it's a great TV show because I like the philosophical discussions they're having, but I really really enjoyed the way they end it, which is it's it's a movie that's talking about the philosophical implications of death and the afterlife, and I really think that the way they end it is a very beautiful take on the afterlife, and also hysterical, incredibly funny. Ted Danson's fantastic. And Manny Jacinto is great in this show. This is the thing that I think was his career breaker. This is what broke him out of Hollywood. And he was in The Acolyte, and he was in some kind of rom com, I think, with Charlie Day, I think, at some point, if I remember correctly.
I don't know. Can't confirm that. But
And
it wasn't The Acolyte.
he's awesome.
Sure. He is. He's
very
great.
funny. Very handsome.
So he is very handsome. In The Acolyte, they use that. There's like a scene of him literally, he's just naked. Not, obviously don't see anything, but
Sick.
He's just naked coming out of the water talking to this character. And I'm like, okay, that's new for Star Wars. And then
lean into that more.
In this one, yeah, he's obviously like Lindsay Lohan's love interest.
Nice.
And there's not even like a question of like, oh, are they good for each other? He's like great. He's incredible.
Good for Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah. Again, just great performances all around. A lot of great bits. They really run with, I'm not going to spoil some of the jokes they do for it, but they run with, in the original Freaky Friday, there's that moment where the love interest, the teen love interest, the bad boy dude, he's like attracted to Jamie Lee Curtis because it's the daughter in her body. And so she's acting like the daughter. So he's attracted to that. But then it just seems to everyone on the outside that he's just got a thing for her mom. Yeah. So they utilize that. That comes back around in this one in pretty hysterical ways. Yeah. So I had a good time. Again, I was like, the emotional part of it, I'm like, I don't really care that much. The beginning is a little wonky. But once they get into the body swap antics, it's really solid.
It's classic.
And the final, 5 minutes, I'm just smiling the whole way through.
Yeah.
I'm walking out of the theater still smiling. I'm like, come on, this is a good movie. So I'll give it awesome. 3.5 pinks. What was it? Pink Slips, I think is the band name. Out of 5.
That's awesome. I remember my roommate Lillian. She went to see this with her mom, and they are a big fan of the original with Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan. And I didn't know this, but she said that it was based on a movie from the 70s, also called Freaky Friday. I didn't know that the Jamie Lee Curtis version was a remake.
It is.
And she was like, yeah, that's the second Freaky Friday. And then I looked it up, and there's the 70s version. And then they remade it in 1995 with Shelley Long. And then they remade it again in 2003 with Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan. And then they remade it again in 2018 on a Disney Channel thing that was very unsuccessful in a musical version. And now they're making a sequel to the third remake with Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Curtis. There's 5 Freaky Fridays, which I didn't even know that there was more than one,
That is crazy.
Very crazy indeed. The next movie we're talking about is a movie that I saw. It's called Twinless. It is a movie by an independent filmmaker named James Sweeney, and it is starring Dylan O'Brien in the first lead role that I've seen him in quite a long time. And it is, I can't talk about it too much, but it is billed as the synopsis is 2 grieving men bond in a support group and form unlikely friendship. And if you watch the trailer, it is like a very interesting, unique concept of these 2 guys who have both lost their twin siblings and are bonding over that fact in the support group, which is it's not something you like often consider. Is that twins could sometimes lose their twin. That must be like a very deep and intimate form of grieving. Like I can't imagine losing someone that looks exactly like you that you've shared your entire life with because you're identical in the same age and presumably like very close with one another. I can't
Mm-hmm.
imagine what it's like to lose that so suddenly. And the whole trailer is like it's like a comedy, like making laughing jokes of grieving, and there's some romantic aspects to it. The characters finding love and then finding bonding and forming friendship. And I thought I was going to go in and just have like a pretty okay time, just watching a very simple drama comedy about these characters kind of living their life. And James Sweeney does something in the first 15 minutes that I was not expecting, that I don't think anybody going into this, even like having seen the trailer or not seeing the trailer, would be expecting. Like watching 15 minutes of this movie, to make the change he makes is very, very bold.
Hmm.
And it works so, so well. I was like on the edge of my seat the entire time. I was having a fantastic time watching this movie. The last time I was like this excited to see where the story was going was probably Parasite. Like,
Wow.
I was very, very involved in the twists and turns of the story, and I highly recommend it. It is a very, very bold idea that he goes for, and it works very, very well. Unfortunately, I don't think you'll like it as much as I did, Ryan. I think you will find some parts of it a little bit lackluster and boring, but I think you will
Hmm.
appreciate the writing aspects and the storytelling aspects. There are also just a couple of really creative shots in here. I try to keep up with independent filmmaking, and obviously, in independent filmmaking, it's harder to make kind of an artistic impression with the shots you can get. You're on such a small budget and such a small time limit that it is tough, and most likely shooting on digital and shooting very quickly by the hip, and there's not a lot of time to do a lot of creative fancy setups to get some cool shots. But I think James Sweeney does, as a filmmaker, come up with some creative ways of visual storytelling as opposed to just saying things in his dialogue, which he does do as well. He has very, very well crafted dialogue, and the movie's top to bottom very, very funny. I had a very good time. I think this is a great comeback year for comedies. I think there's a lot of movies that have come out that I've had a lot of fun watching that are funny. I think this was funny. I think Sorry Baby was funny. I think Friendship with Tim Robinson was very, very funny. I'm sure Freakier Friday, you said that it was very enjoyable. That's one I'm going to see eventually. So I think comedies are making a big comeback nowadays, which I think is fantastic. It's about time. I love a good comedy, and I love going to the theater to watch a good comedy and laughing with an audience. This movie, I was the only person in the theater. It was a completely empty theater except for me. So I talked throughout the whole thing, and I had a very good time. It was very, very enjoyable. I liked having the theater alone. I was laughing very, very loudly throughout a lot of it because there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
outrageous moments that happen in it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I would give it oof. I should have thought more about the rating system before
Pick
coming into this.
anything.
I got to
We're doing
think of
speed rounds.
anything.
Grab bags are always speed rounds. Just pick any, the Sims icon or whatever.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, 4.5 Sims characters out of 5.
4.5.
Yep,
Oh, no.
not quite a 5. There were definitely times where I think the pacing slowed down a little too much for the story, where I'm like enjoying it scene to scene to scene, and then I think they carry on with what they're trying to go for maybe a little too long. I think there was probably about 10 to 15 minutes that could have been cut out of the middle there just to make the pacing go a little quicker. But overall, uh, one of the best stories I've seen written out all year. Dylan O'Brien kills his performance. Absolutely, he's fantastic in this movie.
Nice.
I love the characters, and I want to take you. Like, I want to see it again in theaters. I think it's going to leave soon. I want to take you and Lillian to go see it because I need to talk to somebody else about this movie because it is crazy. The writing choices that he makes are very bold and very different to what it could have been and what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was just going to be kind of a cut and dry comedy drama about two guys who are grieving about this very niche thing to grieve about and just
Yeah.
bonding over it. And he makes a choice that is so wild and out there that it blows my mind.
Well, all right. I'll be seeing that for sure.
Oh yeah, please do. Fantastic movie.
Because again, I mean, 4.5 is a high recommendation, so I'm going to
Yes.
go see it.
Oh yeah.
not to backtrack real quick and insult Freaker Friday after propping it up and everything, but I just do need to note some terrible ADR in that film. Like,
Oh, that
it's
sucks.
wild. It is wild, but
You hate to
it's
see it.
okay.
Such a
The
big
rest of the
budget
film
film.
is very good, but yeah, some I don't know what they were doing. I don't know who they thought they were fooling, but it was not very good. Now on to my next selections here full of action films from Amazon Prime G20, which I'm not going to say too much about because I'm still trying to finish it. I have watched two portions of it thus far. I need a third to finish it up. That tells you about as much as you need to know.
That sucks.
But it starred Viola Davis, and I love Viola Davis,
Yeah,
so
you
I had
do.
to give it a watch. Again, she's good in it, but nothing really to speak of for that film.
That's a bummer.
Heads of State, Idris Elba and John Cena.
Yeah,
I'm fans of them, of course. Certainly for Cena,
of course.
I'll even watch for some stuff. This one, surprisingly, I had a good time with.
I've heard a lot of
It's
good things about Heads of State.
actually very well done. Like the action is very competent in a lot of things. Like there's a whole Air Force One set piece that I thought was pretty well done. Again, that's a thing we see pretty much all the time.
Dude, I
But that was
love
well
Air
done.
Force One, the movie. That movie's
Right.
sick.
That movie's incredible.
That movie's awesome.
This also has a
Get the
good,
hell off my plane.
a very good comedic, like hand to hand combat sequence between the two of them and some random people they run into. I thought that was great. They have a good car chase with the Beast going through the city, Rome, Paris. I don't know where they were, but that was well done. And then they try and do like a Hotline Miami, overhead thing, a la John Wick 4, which
Sure.
I don't think was very successful, but it had Dennis Quaid in it, and
It's a tough thing to get away with. I don't even know if John Wick 4 does it to
not Dennis Quaid, Jack Quaid, and
masterful success.
yeah, I thought the John Wick 4 one was very good. This one, the whole sequence overall, I thought was very good, but that part specifically, I was like, all right, they're just trying to, pump it up with something, but at least it's compelling to look at.
Sure.
And then the chemistry between Idris Elba and John Cena is very good. It just works. Like them
I
in the
believe it.
Suicide Squad worked really
They're
well.
both great.
Them in this movie work extremely well. All their interviews around this movie it was very fun. So Heads of State, I give it 3 beasts through the streets of some European city out of 5.
All right. I can dig it. I think I will check it out. I've heard very good things from a lot of people. My next movie that I'm talking about is a movie called Sorry Baby. It's another independent film by Ava Victor, and it is a comedy, and it is very hysterical for sure, but it is also very much a drama, and it talks about some very serious subjects. And this one is a little more straightforward than Twinless, which I don't know. Nowadays, when I see independent filmmakers, I'm kind of hoping they do something unique and new and interesting, kind of like James Sweeney does with Twinless, which is why it was so exciting to watch. And I'm not really the biggest fan of kind of just a straightforward drama out of an independent filmmaker, especially when it's their first film. This is Ava Victor's directorial debut for a feature film, I believe. And it is kind of very straightforward, but it is just done so well that it's okay. I'm perfectly fine with it just being a straightforward comedy drama with it's very, very simplistic plot. I think the writing structure choices she made, it's non-linear. I think that was a very smart choice for the story that she tells. I won't get into any spoilers about what the story's about, but it handles a couple of very heavy topics, and it does so with a lightness and like brevity that is very refreshing, as opposed to other movies that deal with the same story, in the sense that this is not like, it is a very heavy topic and it is very serious and it is something that impacts a lot of people, but life goes on, and this happens to so many people that, like, you can't think of this. I mean, it's hard to put into words because I don't want to speak for people for a situation that I can't speak about because it's never applied to me, but it is something that is difficult, that happens to a lot of people. And I think Ava Victor walks a very fine line of delivering very honest and real reactions to this situation, but also putting it in a real life setting, as opposed to dramatizing it and making it too melodramatic. It just feels very, very real and fresh to me. And also, the characters are just so wonderful and lovely. It is shot very well. It was shot in like a couple of days, I think, which is a very impressive turnaround time for a production to shoot in only a couple of days. The characters are wonderful. The story is wonderful. I was laughing for a lot of it. I almost cried for parts of it. It is just a very, very beautiful and fresh story, and I enjoyed it very, very much. So I would give this one my very first 5 kittens out of 5 for the year.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
This is
Yeah, I'll
my
have
first
to.
5 out of 5 for the year, and it is so enjoyable, start to finish. Thoroughly enjoyable. I love the characters. I love their performance. I love the chemistry that the characters have. They're so much fun to listen to talk, to see them talk to each other. At first, I didn't know if I was going to like it because they're they're like intentionally playing like very liberal woke characters, which can come off as a little obnoxious at points if done wrong, like written by people who don't actually care about things or aren't like there's some people who like write them as characterized versions of liberal individuals, but these feel like very
Sure.
real. The fact these characters are so real and they're dealing with such real circumstances, I think it's just enjoyable to watch them talk and the banter that they have and the sort of the terminology they use and the dialect that they have. I think it's fun. I love these characters so much. I thought the movie was fantastic. The performances are out of this world. Lucas Hedges is in it very briefly, and he's
The
fantastic.
return. Where's
John
this
Carroll
man
Lynch is
been?
in this. John Carroll Lynch is in very briefly, and he's fantastic. And Ava Victor is in the movie as the main character, of course, and she is fantastic. And her best friend is played by Naomi Ackie, who was in Biggie 17, and she's fantastic in this as well.
All right. So
Highly
just
recommend.
another.
Everybody should go watch Sorry Baby. In a just world, this would be at least nominated for best original screenplay. I know it's not going to happen. Independent films very rarely get the marketing budget to be able to afford, you know, any kind of nomination like that. But in a just world, it would get a writing nomination at least because it is fantastically written.
Okay. It is not on streaming yet. So we'll have to see when that will become
You can
more
rent it on
widely
Amazon
available.
Prime.
But sorry, baby. We'll go in the list. All
Yes.
right. Next up, Caught Stealing, another film which features some feline friends. There's a prominent cat in this one, and then a prominent actress who played a cat woman. So we have Zoe Kravitz in this, we have Austin Butler in this, a whole slew of people,
Huge
and it's
cast.
Aronofsky, my guy.
One of your
Really do
favorites.
do like this guy. He's a very weird filmmaker,
I've
offbeat
seen almost
filmmaker.
none of his movies. I think I've only ever seen The Whale.
What? That's crazy.
It is crazy.
Um, yeah, we'll need to show you some better films than that then.
I know. I need to
But
see Requiem for what is it? Requiem for a Dream.
Requiem for a Dream,
I need to
incredible.
see
Also best score
Black
ever maybe.
Swan. I need to see. He did Mother,
Also
right, with
incredible.
Jennifer Lawrence.
You did do Mother. I haven't seen that one yet.
I want to
I'm
see that
intrigued though.
one. I heard it's crazy. I need to
Wrestler.
see Pie. I need to see The Wrestler.
So
There's a
yeah,
lot. I'm backlogged on Darren
The
Aronofsky for
Fountain.
sure.
So yeah, we'll do. Yeah, he's overdue for an episode. We could have done it for this one, but things just didn't line up. But Caught Stealing. So his follow up after The Whale, who Austin Butler lost to Brendan Fraser for The Whale.
Sick.
And Aronofsky was like, all right, I'll make a movie with that guy then. So
He owes him one.
yeah, and here he is in this one. Again, I won't dive too much into it because you do need to see it, and I don't
I
want to
do.
spoil some things. And I will say, like as far as the enjoyment level, I was so locked in the first half of this, and then a certain thing happens, and then from there, you can just feel yourself like disconnect. We're like, ooh, like they did a choice. It's a bold choice. It also, you can see how it makes sense in certain ways. But I'm like, I just care like 80% less about a lot of this stuff now.
Damn, that's a lot.
Yeah, and that's partially because of how well they do things in the first half. Um, but yeah, and then I think that second half, which leans more into, I don't know how much you've seen of like them talking about it or their interviews or whatnot and their inspirations, but Aronofsky here, he's like, he's not trying to make the next Oscar film. He was like, we're gonna have a fun crime thriller, basically
Sure.
going through '90s New York, just
I'm fine
an
with that.
absurd scenario of this like normal guy getting caught up in some crazy, extraordinary circumstances. And it's going to be somewhat, I don't think it'd be the greatest comparison, but like they're kind of going for that frenetic energy of After Hours or something like that. Like this dude is
Love
just
that movie.
having not
Fucking
like
love that
one
movie.
single night, but he's just having one crazy experience over a few days.
Sure.
So we're just seeing that play out. My issue is when we do get those breaks in between like the days, because it isn't just one night. I think the way like certain characters will disengage from like the pursuit, let's say, is just very stupid. None of the times does it make sense. Like if you were the pursuer in the situation, like you would not just be like, all right, handle this, this, and this. for a couple hours unsupervised while I go do something else, like that would not play out. Um, so that made it difficult to buy into some of the plotting. But overall, I think the emotional through line through the film is actually pretty well done. I think Austin Butler is a great leading man, but again, you have an emotional connection to him. It's also trying to be, again, crazy, fun action and a comedy as well. And there are a lot of parts where I think it was funny, where I was laughing along with it. So on those fronts, it was successful. It just doesn't, fully get to home base, let's say, to have a baseball analogy in there because of some things that happen early in the film. And then because of that plotting issue as well. But I don't
Mhm.
think that detracts from, for the most part, it is very entertaining. And I think it's just fun watching Austin Butler go through some of these situations, even though they become like increasingly less plausible and less believable. It's still fun to see him like go through those motions
Yeah.
and get caught up in this wild scenario. So I give it 3.5 Go Giants out of 5.
It's more than I thought you were going to give it from the lukewarm reaction you gave me earlier when we were talking about it off air. Three and a half
Like I
isn't too
said,
bad.
Austin Butler's great in it. I think a lot of the performances are great.
All
Matt
right.
Smith is crazy in this. He's great. Again, he's a great comedic presence.
Yeah. I
Um,
love Matt Smith.
and then there's a cat all throughout this film. So I'm a big fan of that as well. So yeah, it's a good time.
All right.
3.5. It's just it doesn't have any depth below it that I think would bring it higher in my rating. And then again, the emotional part of it for some of the film falters, but I had a good time.
Mm.
All right, let's talk about our final film real quick, The Naked Gun, which we've seen over a month ago at this point.
Yeah.
But I think the headline here is just it's funny, as you said.
It's so
Comedy is
funny.
back.
Yes, it is.
They capture the spirit of the original Naked Gun and
Have
Police
you
Squad
seen
and
the
Airplane
original?
and all that. Yes, I've never seen Police Squad. That's like
Okay.
the show it's from, but I've seen a lot of super cuts of it online.
Yeah.
Like they just have all the like funniest clips.
They're
So I've seen
great.
that as well. Um, and then they made like 2 or 3 additional Naked Gun movies, right? Never seen any of those.
They did. Yeah. I definitely saw the second one. I never saw the third one. But those movies and the Airplane movies, Airplane 1 and 2, are just the best comedy. They're
I've never
just
seen
so
Airplane
good.
2 either,
It's
but
still pretty good. It's still funny. It's not nearly as funny as the first one. The first one is iconic and
yeah.
probably to me probably the funniest movie ever made. Uh, but God, the Zucker brothers just nail it every single time.
They sure
It's
do.
so good.
There we go. Any
That's pretty
other
much it. I mean,
bit from
I
Naked
guess
Gun
I
that
guess what do you think is like? What do you think are the funnier bits from this version of the Naked Gun with Liam Neeson? What made you laugh the most in theaters?
I can't remember a lot of those misinterpretations, but that's like one of the hallmarks of the
Hmm.
Airplane and all the
Of
Zucker Brothers
course,
stuff. I think they did a great job with those. Like there were a lot that you think about it for half a second, then you're like, oh, then it lands. So I think a lot of those were good. I thought the bit where the one guy has like the infrared and he's spying into the apartment, and it's just
hmm
Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson in these compromising positions. And then a
yeah.
dog gets involved at one point, and the dude's just like, "What is going on in that apartment?"
Oh God,
That was really funny. So just stuff like that.
that whole apartment
The
scene was great. I like the misunderstanding they have about his wife being a football player. I think she says like, "Was she a great catch?" And he says something like, yeah, she could have gone like D1. We were hoping,
yeah,
She says, yeah, and then she says, she sounds like a saint, and he was like, yeah, she could have been, or maybe a Packer, really anything except the Browns.
that was good. Yeah,
It's good. It's a good bit.
that a lot of the coffee cup gags I thought were fun.
Yeah, I
That
like
worked well.
getting the getting the wrecked car out of the lake, and they have the crane arm, and he's trying to go for it, and they're rooting for him, and he drops it like a claw game, and they all go ah.
Yeah,
I think
that was
I think
nice.
any of those physical bits are really good. I like the snowman montage in the middle of it. Very, very
Oh
bizarre.
yeah, that was really funny. I'm like,
It
this
is
is
really funny.
such a weird detour, but it was
Yeah.
enjoyable. And then it was in the trailer, but it was still very, very good in the film. The whole OJ Simpson one of the entire police
Oh
squad
yeah.
are just juniors of the original Naked Gun
Yeah.
police squad. But then he's like, nah, we're not
Yeah.
gonna not gonna talk to that one.
I like when Liam Neeson is trying to go behind the scenes to uncover information, and Pamela Anderson is distracting by doing the singing, and she's just like screaming into the microphone. I thought that was a
You're
good
going
bit.
crazy for it. I didn't enjoy that one too much,
I
but
liked it because Danny Houston is there and he's like really into it.
yeah, but it was great
It's funny.
as a
It
comedy.
is very funny.
I laughed plenty of times. I mean, that's the metric you want to have for a
I
comedy.
like Dave Bautista being there at the end. It's
My
a good
guy,
bit.
my goat. Um, yeah, that whole little portion was pretty good.
Yeah. Liam Neeson's just funny. I will say though, it is 1-to-1 ripped the exact same plot as the first Kingsman movie. 100%.
Is it?
Yeah, it is the exact same premise of developing a device that will turn people into like aggressive beings who will just attack each other. It's the exact same 1-to-1 plot
Mm,
of
well,
trying to decimate the Earth's population and restart by convincing people. I think it's funny they refer to it as a plot device. I wish they, because it's the Naked Gun, they can do what they want. I wish they leaned into the bit that it is not just a plot device; it is stolen and ripped out of a different movie entirely.
the evil
Like
guy was just
one to
watching
one.
the Kingsman and said, "Wait,
That would be funny. That would be
it's a good
really
idea."
funny to me. But they didn't do it. I don't know. Maybe they just weren't aware that they were ripping it. Maybe they didn't. Maybe it's just like what is it called? Overlapping thought or whatever.
Yeah,
But it is like 1-to-1 ripped from it. 100%.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay,
No, enjoyable. Very enjoyable. Very funny. How
how
would you rate
many
it?
coffee cups out of five?
I give it 3.5, maybe 4.
I
It was
give
fun.
it a 3.5 as well.
Yeah, it was a good time. Of the movies that you saw that I didn't, is there one that you think I would enjoy the most, and is there one that you would want me to see the most, and are they the same?
Um, hmm, I don't know. I definitely want you to see Caught Stealing.
Okay,
That's one I would want you to see the most. But I don't know what your vibes would be on that. I don't know where you would fall. So I don't think that would be the one you enjoy the most. I don't know with like action films like Heads of State where you would fall with that either. Because again, it's just a Prime Video action movie.
I thought you knew me,
Um,
man.
but we'll see. Maybe you enjoy it. I think it can be enjoyable. But because I love John Cena so much, that contributes to a lot of it. So we'll see. We'll see how you feel about it. And I also don't know how you feel about Freaky Friday. Like some of these are contingent on like what your vibe is with the franchise,
I'm down for a
with
comedy.
body
I like
swap
Jamie Lee Curtis. I
comedies.
love Jamie Lee Curtis.
I'm very partial to like body swap comedy stuff. So um, we'll go with Freakier Friday. Maybe is the
Okay,
one you enjoy the most because it is
I
Jamie Lee
think.
Curtis doing crazy stuff. She
Of
gets the
course, and I
letters.
love Jamie Lee Curtis, and you know that. I was the only one that knew she was going to win an Oscar. I was the only one that thought she was going to do it, and I knew it because I love Jamie Lee Curtis. I was like, it's gonna be her. It
She
has
is
to be her. I
fantastic.
was the only one rooting for her. I
Yeah, I
love
know
her.
for sure you'll watch Caught Stealing, and so I'll
Yeah,
get to
I
hear
will.
your thoughts on that. Um,
I'm going to check out Heads of
yeah.
State whenever I have a free time.
See,
I
that's
just keep
one where
hearing
I'm
pretty
not
good things.
convinced. I don't think you're gonna watch it. I
Really,
don't think you're ever gonna watch it.
I'm going to watch it right now, just because you said that.
But all right, but yeah, I do want to see Twinless.
Mhm.
It's gonna go to theaters probably this week, so I'm gonna have to try and get that.
I think of the movies I saw, I think you would like Sorry Baby more. I just think you would like emotionally connect to it better, and I don't think there's like a boring moment in that movie. I think it's pretty flawless. But I want you to watch Twinless more because I'm dying to talk to somebody about the writing of that plot and
Yeah,
like the creative choices that James Sooney makes that I think are incredible. I'm dying to talk to somebody about it.
we'll do it for sure. I mean, that's been
And
on
if
the
you do go
radar
see Twinless,
since
please,
Sunday.
please, please, please watch the trailer before you go because it's one of those things that I love, where the trailer gives you one impression of a movie and you go and you're surprised by the turns it takes because it like changes what you think it's going to be from what the trailer says. And I
Huh.
really enjoy it when movies do that. It's very rare. A lot of the times movie trailers just like give too much away. And I like when they give me an impression and I go see the movie and it's something that's like a little different that I think is enjoyable. And I think Twinless does it it does it in a great way where I see the trailer and I'm intrigued and I still want to see the movie. And then I go and I see it and it exceeds my expectations, which is rare. Like a movie exceeding my expectations based on the trailer is very rare. I'm very more often disappointed by a movie, which is why I don't really like to watch trailers that much.
Mm-hmm.
But this
Well,
one
okay.
exceeded. So go watch the trailer and then go see Twinless. I would love to watch it with you. If it's still in theaters and there's time, we should go see it.
Maybe. That seems like one of those that I'll just have to catch late at night, though.
Damn.
Whenever the random showings are happening. But I'll watch the trailer, and then I'll watch it, and I'll let you know. I don't know where it'll fall on, if we'll get to talk about it in the pod, but there we go. That is our grab bag for August. So quite a few recommendations, and a lot of comedies to go check out. So that's very nice.
And the calendar is rounded out. That is all the time we have. We'd like to give your thoughts on the show. You can email us at theboxofficeshowpod@gmail.com.
Our main title theme for the show is Sundown by Joseph McDade.
If you like the show, please give us 5 stars whatever podcast app you're listening to. And be sure to tune in next week. Have a great rest of your day.